Afternoon, happy Thursday, everybody. We are so excited that you could join us today, and we are doing part 2 of our series, Am I Enough? And I think that last time that we did our part 1, Ronel and I shared with you our journeys of how we have overcome our fears, how we have grown into the people that we are, how we have learned to be enough, how we've learned that it's okay to struggle, but it's also okay to fly. And I think that it's a great lesson to all of us. It's a great learning experience. I think that each and every one of us has something that we are fearful of, something that holds us back, something that just, it's almost like having a ball and chain sort of strapped to your leg that it doesn't allow you to budge. And so today, what we have done for you is we have got a panel of experts that are here, and they are going to share with us a little bit about their journeys of how to be enough, how to cope, how to overcome, and how to be the best of the best, how to be the best version of yourself. So we have in the beautiful watermelon dress, we have Suret. Suret is an image and lifestyle coach. She combines styling her clients as well as supporting them in their journey of I want to say fitness. It's fitness, right, Suret?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, perfect. So she is our expert in that department. She has helped people transform their entire, from inside to the outside, to like them in their entirety. She has helped transform so many beautiful people to become the best versions of themselves, and a journey of self-discovery. And I think that is where Suret is an absolute a master in her profession. So welcome. Thank you for joining us, Suret. Then we have Erin, and I want to say it's green. It's like what color green?
It's chartreuse.
Chartreuse. Oh, and that is Ronel's favorite color of all time. Welcome in your beautiful chartreuse outfit. Erin is a personal brand stylist. Erin, basically she explained her journey that she likes to take her clients and do them like an onion. And so, yes, you see, I read up on that. And basically she helps her clients become the best versions of themselves by taking away the layers, the good layers, the bad layers, and getting to the core of who the person is. So that is our expert in that field. So welcome, Erin, welcome, Suret. It's so amazing to have you guys with us today. And yeah, I think that we are going to kick off our session. And we are going to be discussing, for those of you who've just joined us, how to overcome your fears. And I think let's start at the very beginning and let's talk about fears and what are the fears that hold people back. So you've heard from Ronel and I last week about our fears and the things that have really sort of they've hindered us from growing, and I think it would be lovely to hear from yourself, Suret and Erin, like fears that you've, number one, experienced in your own life, and secondly, fears that you've had to help your clients deal with, and how you've helped them overcome them. So let's just start with fears. And what fears have you come across in your expert fields?
You want to start, Suret?
Okay, let me go for it. So firstly, I want to say thank you for asking me to be here. When you asked us, you said we're going to be part of your expert panel. And the first thought that jumped to mind was I'm definitely not an expert in not being fearful. I'm an expert in being fearful. So, but I do think it's part of one's life journey to also guide other people around you once you've, I don't want to say once you've figured out how to not be fearful, but on your road to figuring it out. And I want to answer the question by what are the fears that hold me back or that I see with my clients a lot. And I think it's a lot of things, but I broke it down to 3 words. And I really identify with these 3 fears quite intensely. The first one is rejection. So rejection in terms of work life and also personal life. I think a lot of people really have that fear and struggle with that. And that could also hold them back from starting a business, from approaching a new client, from dressing differently, from updating their wardrobe. So rejection is quite an umbrella term for a lot of things that hold people back. Then secondly, the thing that a fear that holds me back, but also other people, is scarcity, the fear of not having enough. With my clients, I see that in terms of food, they don't want to deprive themselves. They are worried that they're going to be hungry. What if we don't have access to healthy food when we travel? Scarcity in terms of food. And then also I want to say money is a big thing. Is it okay to spend this amount of money on myself to update my wardrobe, to improve my business, to start my business? Is it okay to not buy something for my children or my family and spend it on myself? Will they be worse off if I do that for myself? And then also scarcity in terms of business. Especially in COVID times, will we have business? Is it okay if I leave this job and start a new business? Or is it okay if I reject this clothing style or this style personality and move on to who I really am? Will I still have friends left? Will I have resources? Just the overall mindset of scarcity. And then the last one that I think also is a big fear is a fear to be stuck. For me, it's a big fear to be stuck somewhere where I don't move forward, stuck in a bad situation, stuck in a boring wardrobe or clothing style, stuck in a job that I don't like. Stuckness is something that could be a big fear. Yeah.
Thank you, Suret. And I think, a lot of us, we have fears, but we just allow them to sort of captivate us and be more than we are. And by us having these fears and identifying with them, it's like we are challenging the enemy. And I think that is so good that we as humans stand up and go, you know what, fear? No. And just by identifying which fears those are, it makes us grow. And I think that is the most important thing. So Erin, from your side, how, number one, your fears or fears that you've come across with your clients, what could you identify as their fears?
So when I start with somebody in a personal branding journey, the biggest fear that comes across is the fear of vulnerability. So you're going to tell me that everything I've done is wrong and I have to just change myself completely. And I think when I go through a process like that with a client, it really is an onion, because we take away all the good habits, we put those aside, we shear away all the bad habits, we kind of start reshifting a mindset. And people get nervous about that. I get nervous about it because you start thinking, well, I'm exposing myself so much to one person. They're going to judge me. They're not going to think I'm worthy of whatever else I want to go forward. And also there's this fear of needing to change a mindset about what you think of yourself. We're very critical beings. So when we start doing quite an introspective breakdown of who we are, we get very nervous very quickly. And so that's one of the big one. I think a big fear is vulnerability, and linked to that is a fear of change. So I'm quite comfortable where I am. Why do I need to shift And linked to change is the fear of the unknown. Because you don't know, are you going to be good enough? Can you shift yourself into a space that you've never thought you could be in? And those are key things that kind of will either accelerate or avoid you to go to the next level. And I always say to people, the minute you start feeling uncomfortable, then you know you're doing a good job, because you're starting to feel those waves of emotion. You go, oh, I'm a little bit unsettled, yeah. Well, then that's good, because it means you're hitting the right triggers. Yeah, and I think for me personally, it's that fear of the unknown. Unfortunately, there's things in our life that we can't control. And my big thing with that is, how do you cope with what comes your way? Because the manner in which you take on that fear of the unknown and those unknown circumstances that hit you, people will either remember how you deal with it or how you could have dealt with it. So, and that will shift and allow you to either move through it or get stuck in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I think Richard Branson once wrote a quote, and he said, if you think it's something that you can't do and it's something you're fearful of, then don't even think twice about it, go and do it. And I think that is such sage advice or sage wisdom from you, Erin, is that the fear of the unknown, the fear of what if, the what ifs, but the what if you do actually do it brilliantly, and that you are amazing at it, and you are the pioneer for something new. You know, what if? So there's always going to be what ifs, but there can be good what ifs and bad what ifs. And what if it is a failure? Well, guess what? You learned something, you grew from it, and you challenged yourself, that was a gift that you gave to yourself at the end of the day. So Ronel, I don't know what your thoughts on the matter are.
No, absolutely. I completely agree with you. And at the end of the day, I completely and utterly believe that you cannot achieve anything in life without failure. Failure, setbacks need to happen in order for you to grow to the next level of becoming who you're meant to be. So even if you sometimes feel overwhelmed, Erin and I actually had a very nice discussion the other day when I for this sit down panel discussion. She phoned me. She's like, I'm not even going to try and respond on SMS. It's going to take too long. So let's chat. And we had such a lovely chat. I think we ended up almost speaking for an hour about completely unrelated, but it was the most amazing hour that we spent together, because it was so insightful, talking about how sometimes you feel so overwhelmed with things that happen in your life, or overwhelmed in situations where you know you need to grow from. But taking the next step, you're fearful of that. And I do realize, and I know this, and I always try and tell other people as well, and I completely agree with both Suret and Erin, that you need to sometimes just take a step back, identify the situation that you're in so that you'll know what you're dealing with, and from there you actually deal with it. Because if you know what it is, it's easier to know how we're going to handle it. It's like eating an elephant, little by little. Start at the trunk, it's like little by little. Before you know it, you're in the next stage and you're there, and you don't even know how you got there, but you got there. It's you went through it. So yeah, you
transition from a bad place into a conquering place. And I think, like, we sometimes forget to celebrate what we've achieved and where we've come from. And I think that's Absolutely. A really, really good idea, is just to identify that we actually have, like, we've achieved something, we've done something good. I mean, we're all born perfect, with no fears, no baggage, no nothing. And through our lives, we pick up all these things, and what for? When we were created beautifully and perfectly right from the beginning. So that is what we need to strive to achieve. So I think we get to our next question. Erin, we might as well start with you this time. So in your expert opinion, what would be your advice to those people? I know we've spoken a little bit, you've kind of brushed on it, but what advice would you give to me if I was the person in that situation?
Well, I always say, where do you want to go? Because in the end of the day, you can't start somewhere without a vision of where you want to be. And we all know where we want to be in our ideal world. Okay, so then if you want to be in that space, then what are the steps we need to take in order to get you to that space? Is it pulling yourself out of your current work situation? Is it shifting your focus slightly within your current niche? You know, and I always say a great way to do it is you go, all right, what is my aspirational at the top? Like, this is where I want to be. And then you start going, okay, what is limiting me from getting there? And you make a list. Is it finances? Is it a lack of structure? Is it your current situation or work or skill set? Then you go, okay, what do I currently have that can assist me in getting there? Okay, so because then you start seeing where can you leverage? And then you're going, what is preventing me from getting there from an introspective perspective? You know, there's certain things you can control, and then there's other things you can't control. But I feel you can control everything, it's just to which level you control it. And then you start breaking that all down, and you kind of start going, it's like a glorified pros and cons list. But you start saying, okay, well, how do I get to my goal? And then you start taking it further. How quickly could I get to that goal? Where do I need to shift in order to get to that goal? Is it, I can't get there because I have a lack of support, because you're a solopreneur, and that's usually the hardest part, is because you need a specific thing, but you don't necessarily have the capacity to do that. So are you able to join forces with someone else where you can both link up to where you want to go? So I love a good list, and you just write it all down, and the more real you can get with yourself, the better, because in the end of the day, you're the only one that limits yourself. So the more real you are, and the more grace you give to yourself. I love this. I read something, fake it till you make it. But instead of till you make it, till you get there. And it's so true. It's not about faking it till you make it. It's like if you want to be there, go there. Figure it out when you get there, if need be. But if an opportunity comes your way in a direction you want to go, don't say no. Say yes, and then figure out how you're going to do it afterwards. Because that might be the opportunity that you actually really need in order to propel yourself to the next step.
Absolutely. I think that's such sage advice. It's I think that we all have been through a time in our lives where somebody has put something in front of us and gone, right, I'm offering you this on a platter, and you've gone like, whoa, I actually can't do that. That is just beyond. And the fact that I think that we all have taken a step and gone, you know what, I'm still going to give it a bash. And you know what, I know from my side that I've done things and I've gone like, whoa, that was such a boo-boo. But you know what, I did it. And that is what is so amazing, is that the fact that I conquered a fear. And I think that that's what we're talking about today, and that it's worthy of a pat on the back. So thank you for that advice, Erin. And Suret, in your expert opinion, what would your advice be to those clients that come to you that have the money issues of sort of feeling inferior to other people? What advice would you give them?
So my answer, I'm going to answer quite broadly in terms of fear, but whenever I work with a client, I'm very passionate about making them aware. So once you're aware, and I think Erin also touched on that, once you're aware, once you know, then we can work with it. And I want to make my clients aware that fear can become an obsession. So you can get so used to being fearful and fearful thought patterns and mindset that you end up planning your whole life from a place of fear. So all the choices you make, all the decisions you make, I want to ask that, are you making this from a place of fear, or are you operating from a place of calm? So I know it's very difficult to operate from a place of calm. I can't just tell you, okay, calm down, let go of the fear. But once you're aware and you know, okay, where is this, am I obsessing? And where is this decision coming from? Then what if decisions won't become your guide, or what if questions won't be your guide anymore, and calmness will rather be your guide and your direction. And then I also want to remind you that not all kinds of fear is bad. So there's good and bad. So I have two kinds of fear that I kind of named it. And the one is a destructive fear, and the other one is an intuitive, or I would say intuitive fear, but rather intuition or a warning. So if it's a destructive fear, then you are worried that things are going to hurt you, that your business won't do well, you're not going to move forward. It's a fear. If it's destructive, then it paralyzes you and you can't make decisions from a place of calm. But if it's an intuitive warning, then it's going to, so if the fear is a good kind of fear, it's going to lead you towards taking action. So if we talk in terms of money, if you're worried that you're not going to have enough money for this or that, then you're going to hurt more and rather just keep all your money and not spend anything and not have food, but you have money in your bank account. Or it can be quite irrational at some point. Yeah. But if you're worried that you're not going to have enough money for your future or for your business, and that leads you to action, to find ways to improve your business, to improve the offerings you have, then it's a good kind of fear. A good kind of fear also gets you away from danger. So if you listen to your intuition, don't take that avenue in business, don't maybe be friends with those people. You listen to your intuition, and that's a good kind of fear that moves you away, and it moves you to a better position. So I think my answer would be to be aware that fear could become an obsession, and then try and distinguish, is it a destructive fear or is it an intuitive warning that you should listen to?
I think that's amazing advice, Suret. I think, so we're talking about like a constructive fear. So something that is going to help us to grow in the correct direction, and as opposed to the incorrect direction.
So that would be do it afraid. So I know you're scared, but still do it. But that's a good kind of thing. But the other ones are bad.
Yeah, I think, sure. I mean, having been in this sort of journey for a long time, the fears that we hear coming out and that cripple people, it's so, I want to cry for them sometimes, because I just think like, you are enough, you are beautiful, you are inspiring, you are so much more than you give yourself credit for. And I think that a lot of people reserve credit for themselves. It's like, I'm quite happy to invest all my goodness into other people, but they forget about themselves. And I think that as image consultants, as style coaches, as brand coaches, lifestyle coaches, I think that we get people coming to us because they want that change, and they've almost taken a step of like overcoming a fear by coming to us. And I think that is just such a yeah, for me, it warms my heart knowing that people are coming to me, they're taking that first step out of their fearful zone, and they're giving themselves the worthiness that they deserve. So I think that leads us to our next question, ladies, and that is, have you used the principles that you've been talking about? Have you used them in your own businesses? And if so, have you seen the reward thereof by conquering fears or challenges that have been put in your way? Suret, you can go this one first.
Yes, so I benefited most from becoming aware of, is this fear destructive or is it an intuitive warning for me? If I find that it was a destructive fear that could harm me or my business by being fearful, then I would, it's not always easy, but try super hard and work very hard at capturing my thoughts and try to identify. So I already identified it's a destructive fear. So that in itself tells you that it's a lie. It's not a truth that you should believe. And the moment I realized that I'm fearful of lies or this lie, then I can tell myself, okay, I can put myself down and say, so what's the truth here? And for me personally, it usually goes back to faith. So if I don't have answers, because when I'm very fearful, I get very confused. So that's also a word that I use as a like a lead for me to know what's going on. If I say I'm confused, I don't know, then confused is the secret. Okay, then I think this is probably destructive fear. And then I would ask God, because I would be so confused and not know how to clarify this for myself. God, please just show me the truth here. I know I'm dealing with a lie and a fearful and a destructive thought. Just show me the truth. And then in a way to get the calm from the destructive fear, I would spend quite some time to meditate and pray and just get into a space of calm until I feel the relief. So it doesn't happen in 3 minutes. Sometimes it happens in 3 days, and sometimes it happens in 3 months. So, but I keep going. I keep searching for the calm until I get it. And I keep searching for the truth once I've realized this is a destructive fear. And then when I know it's a destructive fear, I choose to go for trust or for faith rather than fear. So the fear can still be there, but it's okay. Just close your eyes and jump. Just try your best. And then if I realized that it was an intuitive warning that I should have listened to, and I did listen to it, then usually my response would be extremely grateful that I listened to it. And then I would also go back to my faith and say, thank God for putting the intuition in me and giving me the warning. And I would just pray to always be at the right place at the right time, or for continuous guidance and protection. So I know this is quite a spiritual answer, but I do feel that I could apply it to many things. The reason I had to make this for myself so spiritual is because once I'm fearful, I don't think straight. I cannot rely on my thoughts anymore. I have to go to some sort of a higher level of thinking. So that's my answer.
Thanks, Suret. And I think, a lot of the time we're scared to talk out about our faith and our beliefs and whatever, but like, what better place to be able to go and lay your burdens and lay your heart and your fears and the things that hold you back in the person who created us in our perfectness when we started, so thank you for sharing that with us. And I think, like, if we are putting our fears in God's hands, we need to believe that He is going to give us the perfect outcome. He is going to protect, and don't take the fear out of His hands. Leave it there, as you said. Even if it takes 3 days, 3 months, leave it where it's best being handled. So
absolutely.
I also want to add to that, because I work with clients with a lot of different religions and faith practices. So if you're listening now and you're a different faith or different religion than I am, calm would be my answer. So still meditate, just get to a place of calmness and get out of your own head. Yes. And with any faith that we have, that's usually the good way to go, is just operate from calm and don't operate from the what if thoughts.
Absolutely, absolutely. Erin, and yourself, have you your onion principle, have you done that and implemented it in your life?
Well, I could speak like forever on this topic, because if you followed my journey for a long time, you'd know how insane my journey's been. And that is also that it's fueled by that fear of the unknown, but knowing that I can do it. It's also that fear of, is it going to be the right way or path and direction for me? But knowing I've been shifting the business in this way. So, you know, like, for me, I always go with principles of, I'm a planner. And obviously, you know, I also have a deep faith, and, you know, just knowing how you want to shift your business, but not knowing how the business is going to shift, and not knowing the extent to which you as an individual are going to be made uncomfortable. And I think last year was such a prevalent turning point for me as an individual, because I was in an industry where it was just shut down because of COVID. And I was in a situation where all of a sudden, everything that was an obstacle or a barrier for me to really make a full-on shift was removed. And I was like, well, now I better make it work, because I've got no excuse. And I think we put so many excuses in our way as a deterrent for us to grow. And, you know, just being able to say, I can do this. I think we're so fearful of investing in ourselves. We justify why we shouldn't and why we can't. And it's the same as the rest says, you know, I'd rather focus it here, or I'm worried about this. But people look at investing in your personal brand as vain. I've had many conversations with people where they go, you know, someone says it's vain for me to do a photo shoot. Well, what is the purpose of you doing a photo shoot? Is it because you want pretty pictures, or is there strategy behind the reason you're doing a photo shoot? And there's always a way in how you're going to position it yourself. And I think we're our biggest obstacles, because we want to make every excuse as to why we shouldn't do something, because we're scared about, what if it actually works? Yeah. Am I prepared for it? The answer is probably no. So you better figure it out. And I think that's what's exciting about it. But in my own personal journey, if I never took leaps of faith, and I never put myself in situations where, okay, I'm going to just try this, or I'm going to do it, I'm going to figure out the strategy behind it, I wouldn't be here, and the business wouldn't have shifted. So that fear needs to also be a sense of grace for yourself, to allow yourself to fail, to allow yourself to learn, and to allow yourself an opportunity, because we often have opportunities that come our way, and we're like, well, I'm not quite ready for you. Well, it's yeah. And what are you going to do? Are you going to take the opportunity, Or 6 months later, you're going to go, man, I wish I took that opportunity. And I love that reference that Suret said with that intuitive fear and that destructive fear, because it really is, when you start feeling unsettled, you're going, you know what, this is not for me, versus that paralyzing fear of, I'm actually just scared to try something new. You know, it's so small that I had this conversation with my daughter, and they had a paper airplane race at school, and they had to fold their own paper airplane. And I woke her up on the Thursday morning, and the first thing she said to me is, I'm not taking part in the paper airplane race. And I said, why? And she's like, what if I forget the steps on how to fold the paper airplane? And what if it's not going to be soft enough or high enough? And she was really unsettled about forgetting the steps. And I said, you know, I would be more disappointed. And you know, the mom and the disappointment. I'd say I'll be more disappointed if you don't try and your paper airplane doesn't fly, versus you thinking you're going to forget the steps before you've even tried folding the paper airplane. Because in the end of the day, and it's what you touched on in the beginning, Kyla, is you will create a barrier for yourself. You got to give yourself an opportunity. If you forget the steps, it's okay, I'll go and learn the steps again tomorrow. But maybe you make a big paper airplane and it flies the furthest and you win the money. You know, you never know unless you try. And I think that fear is just, we unfortunately live in a world where we're so fearful of everything. And we need to allow ourselves that opportunity to switch it. Not be irresponsible, but to allow ourselves a sense of opportunity.
Grace, yeah.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, throughout all my years, I'm not even that old yet, but throughout all my years, if there's a time to try, it's now. Like, everyone takes risks now, because like, what else is there? What are you going to lose? What are you going to lose? So like, there's so little left to lose after everything, that I feel it's now the perfect time to give yourself the grace and just try, because you don't know. I have a rule, I never say no, unless obviously I feel unsettled. But if I feel at peace, I will always say yes. Whether I can or can't, it doesn't matter. I'll always say yes. And then I'll wing it from there, because you never know. You never know the connections you make. You never know the door that opens for you. It might not even be the door that you need to be in. It might just be the door that opens the door that you have to be in. So by absolutely allowing yourself to take a risk and take a step and say yes, you might just change your whole world, and you will never regret that.
Exactly. I think that we live in a world that is so, as Erin, like you were saying, and Suret, is like, everything has changed so much. That what we knew and what we had before is now completely different. And like Ronel said, well, why not? Perfect opportunity to be able to just wing it and try doing something scary. And procrastination for me is like such a sort of prevalent fear as well, is I'm going to do it. I really am. But like 4 weeks go by and you know what, you've done nothing about it. Why are we procrastinating? It's again from a fear factor, you know, because yeah, we feel like we're just putting too much pressure on ourselves. So I think our last question before we end off today's talk and we'll get together is, if you had to give one piece of advice to somebody struggling with self-confidence, Suret, what would your one piece of advice be to that person?
So my answer would be invest, but invest two things in two places. So you have to, if you need self-confidence, you have to invest time and money. So time can be 5 minutes and money can be 5 rand, or time can be 5 years and money can be 5 million. So you cannot say, I don't have enough, because that's the two things that we all want more of, but we all can have more of it. But anyways, so I would say invest time and invest money. And where are you going to invest it? Emotional, in your emotional health and in your physical health. Because once, and I would also put it in that order, if you invest time and money in your emotional health, then you will have the energy to take the next step and the next step. And if you invest time and money in your physical health, then you buy a comfortable life for yourself with time and with money. So I always tell my clients, when we talk about longevity, longevity is not about how long you live. It's about how much fun you have in your body and how comfortable you are in your body for the time that you are here. That is longevity. But you have to invest to get longevity. And once you have in healthy emotional health and healthy physical health, then you are quite okay. And then with that, I will also say, whenever you're investing in yourself, time, money, emotionally, physically, are you investing to hide what you hate, or are you investing to celebrate what you love? Because that's a big thing that I see with our industry, image, and with my work, fitness. Oh, help me to get a flatter tummy, or help me to lose 2 dress sizes. No, I'm not going to do that. It's not what I'm about. I'm going to help you to celebrate the strength of your body. I'm going to help you celebrate what your body can do and how you can recover from illness or sickness or pregnancy or whatever. I'm going to help you celebrate your body. But I do think if it's about self-confidence, I would lead the clients in asking, are you investing to hide what you hate or celebrate what you've already got?
Wow, what lovely, like what a lovely analogy. I love that. That is amazing. Thank you, Suret. And Erin, from your perspective, if you had to give somebody one piece of advice struggling with their self-confidence, what would that be?
For me, it's stop comparing yourself to others. Because I think as women, our immediate response is, I don't look like that. I want to be like that. I can't wear that. I want to wear that. And you compare yourself like that in business too. You know, you become resentful to those that have certain things because you go, but why am I not there? Well, your journey is different. In the end of the day, you're not there because you're not there. And don't, celebrate other successes. I think we just so unsupportive of each other. And we get so, we just want to hurt. And how do you build your self-confidence when you're consistently worrying about other people and how you hate them or resent them or their journey? I mean, I just can't understand it. You know, for me, self-confidence is really when you come to that point of acceptance of who you are and your own skill set and your own strengths and your own shortfalls. And it's going back to my list, making the real breakdown of who you are. Where are your shortfalls? Where do you want to be? How do you want to get there? Because you know what? You're the only one that's going to get you there. You know, you can't rely on the success of others to create success for yourself. Yes, they can assist you in creating that success, but you have to have the motivation to get there. And the only way you're going to get there is if you're confident in your abilities and you're confident that you can get there. You know, I had so much stuff happen this year. I could have laid underneath a duvet for the rest of my life. But I'm not that person because I wasn't raised like that. I was raised in a home where you take on the hard challenges, you take on the uncertainties, you take on the major life changes. And the only thing you're going to get from that is how you've gone through that. Because you never know why you go through something. Is it to help someone else that's going to go through it later that comes along your way? I mean, I would never have thought I could relate to people through death, but I can. And you know, it's those things, it's creating that level of where do you see yourself and in what ways are you prepared to influence? And that once again comes down to how confident are you in who you currently are. Don't rely on other stuff to fix you. Like, get up in the morning, get dressed, sort yourself out, and get moving. Because if you don't do it, the day is gonna pass, the next day is gonna come. Just deal with it. You know, I've got a rule in my house. My girls are not allowed to talk ugly about themselves. They're not allowed to talk ugly about someone else. And they have to affirm themselves in what's in their capabilities. And you have to start that mindset from so young, because media and people, they will alter the perception of who you are and what you think of yourself. In the end of the day, I think we're living in a society where we can be as eclectic as we want. I mean, who would think that women are embracing grey hair? I mean, 20 years ago, you know, you wouldn't see anyone with grey hair. But, you know, it's about, do you have the confidence to wear it? Yes, I do. So I'm going to wear it. And it's a mind shift. Like, you have to make that decision who you want to be as an individual versus who you're expected to be. And that's the big shift. Because
Absolutely.
then nothing's gonna deter you. If anything, you'll accelerate. Stay in your own lane.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And I think, Erin, in a lot of cases, people forget, and this is something that we've touched on so many times before, but people forget that your vibe attracts your tribe.
Sorry.
People come to you because they want to learn from you. They feel that they want to have what you have, and they feel like they want your confidence, or they want the skill set that you have, or they want to learn how to do things the way you do things, because that speaks to them. And if I feel comfortable coming to you as my consultant, then I'm going to come to you. If I don't feel comfortable with someone else, I'm not going to go to them. So you need to embrace what you have in order to feed the audience that you serve as well, because you need to go through those trials and errors in your life in order to give that back to your clients. If I have confidence issues, great. I do sometimes. We all do. But at least I can own up to it. I do something about it, and someone else can learn from the same process. If I don't embrace the little curves that I have, how am I going to help someone else embrace these? So at the end of the day, we all are going to have ups and downs. We all are going to have great days where we feel amazing, and we're all going to have days where we don't feel amazing. And that's okay. It's normal and it's real. And you need to be able to be real and normal and authentic with your audience, because that's why they will come to you. They don't want to come to you because you're perfect. No one's perfect. No one to learn from someone that's absolutely perfect. Because if they feel like you're perfect, you're unrelatable. You need to be relatable at their level. So embrace the imperfection and grow from it and make it work for yourself and your audience.
Yeah, I agree completely and utterly. And I was just thinking, Erin, when you were talking about your little girl and sort of like encouraging her to at least try. And I was thinking, you know, like a fish swims in water. The minute you take it out of the water, it can't swim anymore. It's still a fish, but you're taking it out of its correct environment. So my advice to somebody who's struggling with their self-confidence is, if you're not being able to move forward and swim, then you need to change your environment. You need to get yourself back into that water where that is your habitat. So find your habitat, find your happy place, find your self-confidence place, the place that makes you alive. And that is where you're going to grow, and that is where you're going to be able to swim. You can swim downstream, upstream, side stream, whatever stream you want, you can do it. And I think it's just about knowing that we all have the capability to be able to do it, that we all are enough. And I just want to leave, I think I'd leave everyone with that thought today, to say, you are beautiful, you are amazing, and you are more than enough. And from Ronel and I, Suret, Erin, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for giving us your expert advice. I'm inspired by a lot of the things that you both had to say. I'm going to actually go back and have a re-listen, because there was some word Suret, you spoke about a couple of very interesting ways of looking at confidence, and Erin, just the stories about your daughter and the airplane, and I'm so encouraged, and about taking away keeping your good stuff when you're peeling your onion, and discarding of the bad stuff. And I think it's encouraging hearing other people's perspectives. So we just like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. It's been amazing, wonderful way to spend a Thursday afternoon, and wishing all of you that are listening an amazing rest of your day.
Thank you so much, ladies. It was nice
Thank
to meet you.
you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.